the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Buckeye fans? Welcome back to another episode of Locked On Buckeyes for the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. It is Monday, August 30th in the year 2021. And no matter if you're listening to the audio version of the podcast or if you're watching us on YouTube or WKYC.com, I want to thank you for making Locked On Buckeyes a part of your day. On today's episode, we go through a full list of season predictions for the year. Also, we will hit some player predictions. Some are team-specific, some are player-specific, things we're looking forward to and predicting throughout the season. But before we get to any of that, today is the beginning of the first official game week of the Ohio State football season. It is finally here. We've been waiting for this week for a very long time, and the week is now upon us. Game week. Forget NIL. Forget conference realignment. Forget the dead period, which ended on May 31st, a long time ago, but it still seems like we're still hearing things that happened during the dead period for recruiting that should not have happened. Forget all of that. Forget Texas and Oklahoma going to the SEC. Forget the alliance that really is really weird when you think about it. But that means nothing this week. Now, it still holds weight. Don't get me wrong. But the biggest thing on the agenda, on everybody's to-do list, is to watch the football this week. Yes, there was football a couple days ago. The college football season got started. Nebraska didn't look good. Illinois won with a backup quarterback. We saw all of those things over the weekend, but this is the first official game week. And let me just tell you, my excitement level, it might seem a little subdued right now, a little calm, a little more calm than what you might expect. But let me tell you, your boy's excited. Your boy is ready for the week. From C.J. Stroud, the quarterback, to Garrett Wilson and Olave, to Ruckert, to Munford. We'll talk about something with him in a little minute, in a short second. To DeJuan Jones, who will be possibly starting at right tackle. Harry Miller going back to his most comfortable spot on the offensive line, the center position. To Zach Harrison, who's looking to have the best year he's ever had at Ohio State. To Tyreek Smith, who's looking to replicate the success he had last year and go a little bit further as well. To Haskell Garrett, Teron Vincent, Jerron Cage, all of these guys that have been, Antoine Jackson, that have been on the team for quite a while, they're looking to make their mark. Cody Simon, Tommy Eichenberg. What will we know with the linebacker position? Kevon Pope, Ronnie Hickman, Lathan Ransom, new defensive look. We get all of our questions answered. Well, we start to get some of our questions answered later in the week, and I am oh so happy. But with game week, we all knew there was going to be an announcement that was going to come as well. Who would the recipient of the Block O jersey be? Now, with there being 6 captains, I kind of assumed one of the 6 captains would be the recipient of the Block O jersey, and that is correct. The recipient of the Block O jersey is none other than Mr. Thayer Munford. Now, the Block O jersey was something that Ryan Day started last year. It's in recognition and remembrance of Mr. Bill Willis. Bill Willis was a defensive end whose career spanned from 1942 until 1944. Willis was an All-American and national champion during his time with the Ohio State football team. He later went on to break the color barrier in the National Football League as a member of the Cleveland Browns and was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame as well as the College Football Hall of Fame. Willis's number 99 is retired at Ohio State and what stood for toughness, accountability, and the highest of character are values that the current day Buckeyes strive for every day. And nobody better exemplifies those traits than Thayer Munford, and which is why Ryan Day has awarded Thayer Munford the Block O jersey. Here's what Ryan Day stated about Thayer Munford and this honor, quote, "The Block O is a badge of honor in our program. It represents everything that is important to us, fighting to be elite in all that we do. It's also about accountability and a blue-collar personality. When I think of Thayer Munford, that's what comes to mind," end quote. Now, due to NCAA regulations by number, Thayer Munford is not eligible to wear said number because he is an offensive lineman. He will have a patch on his jersey to represent the honor that he has. One thing that sticks out to me whenever I watch the SEC football, I don't think other conferences do this. Whenever you're a graduate of an SEC school, after you graduate, you get the patch on your chest, SEC graduate, and that stands out. Now, being a recipient of the Block O jersey, that's one amazing honor. And I do believe Thayer Munford does deserve this honor. Thayer Munford, the most tenured person on the Ohio State football team, he has played 45 games, career games at Ohio State. Trying to look at my notes here very, very quickly. Yes, 45 games. That was correct. And last week, like I mentioned, he was named a captain. I wasn't sure if it was going to be Olave. Wasn't sure if it was going to be Haskell Garrett. But I had a feeling it was going to be one of those two guys. Didn't think Zach Harrison was going to get it either, even though he is a captain of the team. I did think it was going to be either Haskell Garrett, Thayer Munford, or Chris Olave. Thayer Munford, 6th year. Let's go out with a bang. Could have left last year. Could have left and gone to the NFL last year, and then probably a day 2 pick, 2nd or 3rd round pick. Came back to Ohio State. There's some unfinished business. Probably wants to win a ring. Been at Ohio State for a very long time, and the chance to win a national championship at Ohio State, it only comes around for some people, not all, because not everybody is able to play on a team that has enough talent to win a national championship. The Ohio State Buckeyes have that chance this year, and with Thayer Munford, that's very possible, and I'm very excited that he is a recipient of the Block O jersey for the 2021 Ohio State Buckeye football season. I'll step away very quickly. When we come back, we will begin our look at some season predictions. 7 in segment 2, 7 in segment number 3. But first, check this out. If this is your first time checking out Locked On Buckeyes, I want to say welcome. Or if it's your first time in a long time, Jay wants to say welcome back. Locked On Buckeyes drops a fresh new episode for you every Monday through Friday, with it being game week. That's not going to change at all. Joey Kaufman, Ohio State Buckeye football beat writer for the Columbus Dispatch, will be with us tomorrow. Do some more season predictions and some things he's looking forward to seeing Thursday against the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe on your favorite podcast listening app as well, so you don't miss a beat. Prediction season is upon us. It's that time of year. You have your predictions. I have my predictions. We're going to go through some together. The list that I have, this is the same list that the Ohio State Buckeye beat writers put together. They all put their predictions in. And then a young man, there was 36 beat writers altogether. I know Dave Holmes from 10 TV, he put his own predictions in there as well. I was not a part of that list there, but I am going to do my own, go through the same thing that they did, give you my own predictions on the Ohio State Buckeye season. Some I'm sure we will agree upon. Some might not sit well with you, but this is the part that is fun in the week as we kick off this week for the Ohio State Buckeye team. First and foremost, the record for the season. I have been saying this all summer long. The Ohio State Buckeye team is talented, one of the most talented teams in the country. From offense, you're loaded at all positions, still inexperienced at running back. As weird as it is to say that there's a lot of talent, but there's still inexperience at the running back position, because outside of Master Teague, nobody, and I mean absolutely nobody, has significant games that they have played, significant play and consecutive play that they have had at all. So the running back position, as talented as it is, there are still some question marks. Offensive line, Not really many. Defense, there are some question marks there, not just at DB position, but also the linebacker position and the inconsistency we're hearing from the kickers in practice with Seibert and Ruggles, the grad transfer from North Carolina. The kicking game has my attention way more than normal, and I'm not very comfortable saying that right now and predicting an undefeated season for the Ohio State Buckeyes. The closer we get to the games, I see the talent, but I still think at some time Ryan Day will lose his first regular season game during the season. I'm not sure when. I know the games that it can happen, but I do know they also have more talent than everybody else on the field. Ohio State, my prediction for the record is 11-1 on the season. It pains me to say that, but honesty is one thing we always want to be at the forefront on this here podcast. Conference championship. Yes, I do predict the Ohio State Buckeyes to win the Big Ten title. I think they'll be there against Iowa, and I think they'll just be too much team speed on Ohio State to be on the field with Iowa. Iowa's going to have some talent. Iowa's going to play well. I think Spencer Petras will play better. Not the elite of the elite quarterback, but he's at Iowa. You don't have to be that guy to be successful at Iowa. I do think Spencer Petras will be very, very good for them, and I still don't think that it's enough for them to beat Ohio State. Ohio State wins yet another Big Ten Conference championship in Lucas Oil Stadium. Do they make it to the playoff? Absolutely. You win the Big Ten Football Conference. Ryan Day has stated it. I want to reiterate what he said. If you win the Big Ten Football Conference, you deserve to be in the playoff. I also think Ohio State will still be one of the top 4 teams in the country, no matter what. Ohio State, I do have as a playoff team this year. Not only do I have them as a playoff team, but this is something I'm adding. I actually think they could be competitive, but I'm not sure if they get it to the national championship this year. I think Oklahoma and Georgia will be the national championship. Oklahoma and Georgia have 2 of the better quarterbacks in the country. JT Daniels has some question marks to some. I'm not the biggest Spencer Rattler fan, but I do think he is good. I think Oklahoma's defense and Georgia's defense will be two of the better defenses in the country. I do actually think Ohio State's defense will be really, 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 really good as well. I think the first quarter of the season, let me think this correctly because the schedule's not right in front of me. The Minnesota game, the Oregon game, and the Tulsa game, I think those 3 games, the first quarter of the season, kind of broke that down. Each season is broken down into quarters, 4, 4, 4, and 4. Or no, 3, 3, 3, and 3, 3, 6, 9, 12. There we go, Jay. Just try to do math out loud in your head. On the podcast, it sounded really bad when I went to 4s instead of 3s. I know my math. It just sometimes takes my brain a little bit more time than I would like to put 2 and 2 together. So I do think that it'll be Oklahoma and Georgia in the national championship. I have Georgia winning the national championship this year. Their first since 1980, since Herschel Walker played for them. Many of you listening to this or watching weren't alive to watch Herschel Walker play the football. I miss it. I wish I did. But I think Georgia and Kirby Smart get that nod and get the ring, win the Natty this year. Now, here is the next one that I think is very interesting for many people. I'm going about this saying there are absolutely no injuries at the quarterback position all season long. The next one up, who is the quarterback at the end of the season? CJ Stroud, quarterback 1 for the Minnesota game. I think he's been the front runner the entire season. I honestly think he has earned this right, and he deserves this right, honestly. Not deserves, but he has earned the right to be QB1 for Ohio State. And I think CJ Stroud will be the quarterback at the end of the season. That's an interesting question to ask because this quarterback room has a lot of talent. I'm tired of saying loaded. Everybody else says loaded. So I'll use some different words to describe the quarterbacks that Ohio State has compiled for the season, at least the ones that we know of that are really, really talented. Walk-ons. Not this time. Kyle McCord, Jack Mill III, Quinn Ewers, all 3 of them are talented, and CJ Stroud as well. You got to knock away Ewers out right now because he has not lost his black stripes. So it's really a 3-headed race between Stroud, between McCord, and between Miller III. I do firmly believe this was always C.J. Stroud's job, and I do firmly believe that C.J. Stroud is the quarterback that Ohio State needs this year to be successful based off of the ones that are in that room right now. And I do firmly believe C.J. Stroud is the quarterback at the end of the season. Many people have asked themselves or people amongst themselves, maybe barbershop talk, or maybe you've talked about things at work. You have been asking yourself, hey, Jay, do you think there's a situation that there's a way that C.J. Stroud could not be the quarterback at the end of the season based off his play, assuming nobody gets hurt? It's possible, but he'll have to play really, really bad for Ryan Day to say, yeah, I didn't make a decision. You earned the job at the beginning, but your play started to decline when you got in front of fans. You started getting against an opponent that wasn't your teammate. And yeah, buddy, things aren't looking so hot, so we got to kind of pull the reins, pull back, and put somebody else in. Those are legit type of questions that people ask, not just myself, but people as well. More barbershop talk, because you always want your team to have the best player in any position to be on the field. C.J. Stroud, I do believe, will be the quarterback at the end of the season. Last but not least, there is one more. Do I think this quarterback that ends the season that the person that's playing quarterback at the end of the season, do I think they will be the starter in 2022? Absolutely. Many of you are falling in love and have seen Quinn Ewers and think Quinn Ewers has a shot to win the quarterback position at Ohio State going into next season. There is a shot. There is a chance, very slim chance, but there is a chance. I do believe C.J. Stroud, the job is his until he leaves Ohio State. I think that's how good he is. If he decides to play with redshirt freshman, sophomore, junior, if he decides to play football for 4 years at Ohio State, so be it. You want to get guys to transfer out because they don't want to be the guy's backup the entire year, the entire time they're at Ohio State. So be it. I mean, it's the landscape of college football. I think Stroud is that good. Honestly, I firmly believe he is that good. And Stroud, you're going to wow a lot of people with your play. I do think Stroud is the quarterback at the end of the season. And I do think C.J. Stroud is the quarterback in 2022 as well. That's just how good I think he's going to play this football season. Let's step away very quickly. When we come back, we have more predictions. These are more skill position predictions and predictions for defensive players as well. But first, check this out. As we continue and wrap up today's episode here of Locked On Buckeyes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. One thing we're going to talk about more tomorrow, but be on the lookout for some live post-game analysis on the podcast YouTube page. We're going to try to get some live post-game analysis live after the show, after every game right on YouTube. One reason I mentioned previously, there will be some things that will be exclusive to the YouTube page. One of them will be live shows after games. Subscribe so you get alerted when things are happening over there at the end of Ohio State Buckeye football games. We went through 7 predictions in the last segment. Ohio State prediction record for me, 11-1. Conference championship, yes. Playoff appearance, yes. Rank at the end of the season, 2. National champion, Georgia who is the quarterback at the end of the season? C.J. Stroud. Is it the same quarterback? Is that person, that quarterback, the starter in 2022? That is a yes. These are the same type of predictions that the Ohio State beat writers did put together, and I'm not sure exactly who the gentleman is, but he put this article together, put these in an article, and compiled everybody's list. There are 36 individuals that are on the beat for Ohio State that are in this graph. One of them I know is Dave Holmes from 10 TV. He is also on there as well, more on the TV side. And I'm having some fun going through my predictions right now. We'll go over Joey Kaufman's predictions tomorrow, as he was a part of that group of beat writers that put their predictions in that graph. You'll find those there. After going through the ones we went through last segment, got a few more for you. Who will be the leading rusher for the Ohio State Buckeyes? Mayan Williams. I have always said Mayan Williams or Marcus Crawley will be the guy that will get the bulk of the carries this year. I don't think that's going to change. As good as Travion Henderson might be, I think the early portion of the season and him getting acclimated to the collegiate football and not having played football in 2 years, I think it's going to derail him. I think Mayan Williams leading the drills for the running backs, I think that was a phenomenal sign from him, not just for growth, but also to see his recovery from the injury. I think that this is Mayan Williams. He will be the leading rusher for Ohio State. Leader in receptions. Leading receiver, Garrett Wilson. Number 3 receiver on the team, Jackson Smith-Njigba. There's been too many reports, too many guys talking about his footwork, his hands, his route running, and just everything that makes him the type of receiver that you want at Ohio State. Jackson Smith-Njigba, number 3 receiver at Ohio State in receptions. I almost went with Jeremy Ruckert, but that's still too much of a wild card because I'm not sure how much Ryan Day is going to use a tight end. Yeah, more than 30 catches, but Jackson Smith-Njigba could have way more than that. I think he's just too dynamic. And putting him in the slot, it's just going to be a mismatch every single game. Who will be the sack leader for Ohio State? Tyreek Smith. Big Tyreek Smith fan. Really love what we saw from Tyreek Smith last year, and I do think that we're going to see more of that this year from Tyreek Smith. Tyreek Smith, the sack leader for Ohio State. Who will be the leader in interceptions? Josh Proctor. We heard what Ryan Roberts had to say about Josh Proctor on Friday's episode when he went over the draft prospects of Sevyn Banks and Josh Proctor. If you missed that, go back and check it out. It's on the YouTube and on the podcast feed as well. Go check that out. I think Josh Proctor. Now, I was very close to saying Sevyn Banks. I think people are going to throw away from Sevyn Banks this year. I think he's going to take a growth and a step up in his play, and I think that Sevyn Banks' play will force quarterbacks to not throw at him. I think Josh Proctor, single high safety that Ryan Day loves to use, I think that he will be the guy to get a lot of picks this year. Josh Proctor, a freshman breakout. What freshman is going to be that guy? There's 3 names, I think. I'm not going to cheat and pick all 3. Travion Henderson or Jack Sawyer or JT Tuimoloau. My gut says JT Tuimoloau. You can go with Jack Sawyer. You can go with Travion Henderson. All 3 have lost their black stripes. So I'm going with JT Tuimoloau, the man that committed to Ohio State on the 4th of July, an absolutely different and abnormal recruiting process that I think any of us ever thought we would see or imagine or wish, or not wish, but ever in our wildest imagination or dream did we ever think a recruitment would be like this and going this late into the year. Things happen during when there's weird things that are going on. JT Tuimoloau, my breakout freshman. And then the pass rank for the team, I got 45. I think it'll be better. Still kind of middle of the pack. I mean, you're going to get a group of 5 schools that are above them, but I still think 45 is where they're going to land at the end of the season about the pass ranking for the defense. Guys, it's been fun. It's been very, very enjoyable. And it's sad we got to end the show right now. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at jstevens07. You can also follow the podcast on Twitter at LockedOnBuckeye. Send your emails to me, jstevens317 at gmail.com. Text me. Yes, text me. Way for us to communicate outside of the space of this year podcast, 850-462-5442 as well. We're done for the day. It's a Monday. It's game week. Let's get going. Let's get excited. We got a full week of preparation for the first game of the season against the Minnesota Golden Gophers. You don't want to miss the things coming up on this podcast the rest of the week. But in the meantime, we got to close the show out the right way. Go Bucks!